The year is 1326 and Osman Gazi has died from natural causes during the siege of Bursa. Shortly after Osman's death, the city of Bursa was taken by his oldest son Orhan Gazi. Orhan Gazi and his stepbrother Alaaddin Pasha would talk about the line of succession to the Beylik that they both inherited. The stepbrothers came to a conclusion that the Ottoman Beylik shouldn't be split between them. Alaaddin recognized that Orhan was a natural-born warrior, whereas he was more of a man of learning who didn't fit the mold of a warlord. Alaaddin Pasha wanted to continue to administrate the Beylik while his more charismatic brother Orhan went on military campaigns, so Orhan became the new sultan. Rewarding his stepbrother's loyalty to him and to the state, he made Alaaddin Pasha the first Grand Vizier of the Ottoman Empire, an office which would be occupied by various men until 1922. Orhan Gazi would start his reign by moving the Ottoman capital to Bursa and rewarding the Byzantine commander of the city, Enver Osbey, for surrendering the city to him by giving him and his sons key positions in the Ottoman army to serve in. This was actually a common practice also seen when Osman gave the former Byzantine governor, Kusemihal, major positions in the Ottoman administration after he surrendered his city to Osman. The new capital of Bursa was transformed by many building projects paid by Alaaddin Pasha, which saw many mercantile establishments, bazaars open in the city, which turned the city into a major trade center in the region. The transformation of Bursa indicates a turning point for the Ottoman Turks, which sees them go from a nomadic herdspeople into a settled urban society. By the year 1328, the Byzantine Civil War concluded with the overthrowing of Emperor Andronicus II, along with the Serbian allies by his grandson Andronicus III, who was backed up by the Bulgarians. Also by that time, Orhan had started the siege of Nicolle, which was the second biggest city in the Byzantine Empire, only second to their capital of Constantinople. Andronicus III decided to relieve the important besieged city of Nicolle and hoped to restore the Byzantine frontier to a stable position. Andronicus III led an army of about 4,000 men, which was the greatest he could muster at the time, to the besieged city. A 8,000-strong Ottoman army led by Orhan Gazi would strike this Byzantine force during the Battle of PELEKANON. The battle would be an Ottoman victory which would see Andronicus III being wounded during battle. This would be the last time the Byzantines would attempt to try to regain land in Anatolia. The huge city of Nicolle would fall to the Ottomans by 1331. And in 1333, Orhan and his son Süleyman Pasha would start the siege of Nicomedia, which would fall in 1337. While Orhan Gazi and his armies were military campaigning against the Byzantines, Alaaddin Pasha was administrating the empire at the capital of Bursa. He introduced the monetary system into the state, which would see the first coining of Ottoman coins under the name of Orhan. Alaaddin would also reorganize the Ottoman army into a standing army. Orhan Gazi's predecessors, Ertuğrul Gazi and Osman Gazi, went to war with an unorganized war band of Gazis, or warriors. This army rode on horseback to their leader's banner when summoned for each expedition, and were disbanded as soon as the military campaign was over. Alaaddin Pasha formed a new army by forming corps of paid infantry, which was to be kept in constant readiness for military service. These troops were called the Yaya infantry. This army was highly organized, unlike their previous Ghazi armies. Alaaddin Pasha's clothing reforms were also very important to the multi-ethnic Beylik. Different attires were chosen for different ethnicities, which made it easier to identify people's backgrounds. The Ottoman Beylik was a diverse state, which saw many Greeks, Turks, Armenians, and Jews live together. This reform was not to single out a community, but to give ethnic groups an identity in which the state could easily interact with those people. The people that lived in the Ottoman Beylik had a close relationship to their central government, unlike many feudal kingdoms in Europe. Alaaddin Pasha's reforms ensured the legitimacy of the new Ottoman government on the lands in which it ruled. and that it would survive from outside threats while at the same time making it easier to conquer more land and interact with the conquered people. Alaaddin Pasha, the first Grand Vizier of the Ottoman state, would pass away in Bursa in 1331, leaving behind a stable government for his warrior stepbrother Orhan Gazi to manage. By 1345, the Karasit Beylik to the west was in turmoil. Yasha Khan, the leader of the Karasit Beylik, had died, and his two sons would start a civil war in order to become the next bey. Orhan saw an opportunity to gain further power in the region by participating in the civil war. His pretext for war was that he was trying to establish peace in the Karasit Beylik. By the end of the year, one of the brothers in a rebellion were killed in battle, and the other one was captured by Orhan. The rich Beylik of the Karasids and its huge navy was taken over by the Ottoman Beylik. The Ottomans were eyeing the shores of Europe across the Dardanelles Straits, planning their next move. After the Battle of PELEKANON in 1329, the Ottomans and the Byzantines entered a period of friendly contact due to both sides not wanting to continue their three-decade war with each other. The Byzantine state was crumbling at a very fast rate, and they were also defeated by the Bulgarians in the Battle of Rusta-Castro in 1332, which almost kicked out the Byzantines from the region of Thrace. Things went worse in 1341 when Andronicus III died. This would start another round of civil wars for the Byzantines. Andronicus' son John V was only 9 years old when his father died, so Andronicus' chief minister John VI vied for power left by the power vacuum after the death of Andronicus and became the new emperor. John VI would win the civil war and become the senior emperor and regent for 10 years for the junior emperor John V until he was old enough to rule by himself. Serbia and Bulgaria took big chunks of land from the Byzantines during the Civil War, so the Byzantines desperately needed a new ally to protect them from Serbia and Bulgaria, so John VI turned to Orhan Gazi for help. John VI would ally himself with Orhan Gazi by planning a royal marriage between his daughter Theodora and Orhan to declare their friendship to one another. In 1346, Orhan would marry Theodora in Constantinople. In the following year, the couple would have a son named Shahzadeh Halil. This alliance, however, failed to prevent the Byzantines from further decline. This was evident during the Byzantine-Genoese War of 1348 to 1349, where the Byzantines failed to prevent Genoa from occupying the Golden Horn right next to Constantinople due to tariff disputes. To show off their presence in Constantinople, the Genoese built the Galata Tower, which became the tallest building in the city. The Ottomans wouldn't join this war with the Byzantines due to the Byzantines allying themselves with Venice. The Venetians and the Ottomans were hostile to one another due to Orhan's raiding parties against Venetian ships in the Dardanelles. This meant that Orhan would not participate during this war. After years of unrest and John VI losing his popularity with the people and the government, the Byzantines were yet again in a civil war in 1352. John V, who was 20 years old by this time, had revolted against John VI to become the sole ruler of the empire, which he inherited from his father. Seeing a way to gain further influence with the young emperor and gain even more land, Serbia, Genoa, and even Venice sided with John V. Hearing about John V's revolt against him, John VI made his son Matthew emperor and requested help from Orhan Gazi. Orhan, also seeing an opportunity to gain land in Europe, decided to help his father-in-law John VI and sent over 10,000 of his best warriors over the Bosphorus to stop John V's revolt. The Battle of DEMOTIKA saw the joint forces of Orhan Gazi and John VI wipe out the forces of John V and his Serbian allies. This battle would be the first battle the Ottomans would fight on European soil, and it resulted in a victory for Orhan Gazi, who was at this point becoming a popular figure among Turkish beyliks back in Anatolia. Around this time, John VI granted the Ottomans the castle of Chimpe as a base to help them against John V and Serbia. An earthquake in 1354 would destroy the fortifications of a nearby fortress in Gallipoli, which Orhan's son Süleyman Pasha capitalized on, and he captured the fort swiftly. The Ottomans had gained their first territories in Europe. John V would regroup his troops and try to capture Constantinople in 1353, but he would fail. He would try again in 1354, this time with his Venetian and Genoese allies alongside with him. John VI would surrender the city and retire to become a monk, while his son Matthew held up in Thrace until 1357, where he was defeated and exiled to Greece by John V. The civil war was over and John V became sole ruler of the exhausted and devastated Byzantine Empire, but Turkish raids into Europe were just starting. In 1355, a major Ottoman raid into Bulgaria resulted in the Battle of IHTIMAN, which would see the death of the Bulgarian prince Nicolle. Ottoman presence into Europe was being felt harder and harder, and Orhan Gazi only got stronger from this. He took advantage of all these Christian factions fighting amongst each other, while he was steadily grabbing land and riches from them. In 1356, Orhan would turn around and start his Anatolian campaign. He would annex Ankara from the Ayas Guild, which would give the Ottoman access to central Anatolia for the first time ever. During the same year, disaster would strike for Orhan when his son Şehzade Halil was abducted by Genoese pirates. Orhan was very much upset by this kidnapping, and so he conducted talks with the Byzantine Emperor John V. As to the agreement, John V with a Byzantine naval fleet went to Phoenicia, paid the ransom demanded by the Genoese captains, and brought back Şehzade Halil back to Ottoman territory in 1359. This was very important for the Byzantines because they saw Şehzade Halil as a potential ally due to him being the son of Theodora, a Byzantine princess. Another great disaster would happen when Orhan's eldest son and heir to the throne, Süleyman Pasha, died during a hunting accident in 1357. Orhan was devastated by the death of his son and his health worsened during the final years of his reign. Orhan, at the age of 80, retired from public life and made his second eldest son, Murad, run the government. Orhan would die from natural causes in Bursa in 1362 after 36 years of ruling the Ottoman Beylik. It was the first time during Orhan's reign that the administration, military, and legislation of the empire were structured. Osman Gazi had transformed his small Kaya tribe to a great principality in Anatolia, while his son Orhan Gazi began the process of turning the principality into a state.